Vishnu as well as Akhilesh and Rishabh joining us in order to get us more on this. Vishnu, over to you first. Donald Trump is known to make those U-turns, but of course, there's many a slip between the cup and the lip. What does India really have to be careful about this time around?
India is just responding in a gesture of friendship to everything that Donald Trump has to say at this stage. I think there's a bit of a process at trying to get that relationship back on an even diplomatic keel. So if there is a friendship gesture from Donald Trump, the Prime Minister has been quick to reciprocate. Remember, in this latest response on Twitter, the Prime Minister has responded within hours of Trump posting on Truth Social. That's his social media site. Last week, to NDTV, Piyush Goyal, the Commerce Minister, had indicated that America is an important ally, an important and consequential partner of the United States. A couple of days later, we saw Donald Trump respond over the weekend saying that Modi is my friend. After that, we saw Piyush Goyal and Nirmala Sitharaman again take questions at the NDTV GST summit yesterday, where they again spoke about the importance of the relationship with the United States. They weren't willing to get ahead of themselves, of course, but they didn't rule out anything with America. And now you've got this gesture of friendship from Trump and followed quickly by a message from Narendra Modi. Now, it does appear that trade talks will now take place once again at the same level at which they were taking place in terms of delegations meeting, but they never really shut down. The process of communication between America and India never really shut down. It was just something which affected, I would suggest, the sense of trust which existed between both countries, certainly New Delhi. But that's something that both sides will now need to negotiate. And it does appear we'll need to get back trust. But it does appear that as far as trade negotiations are concerned, that might take place at the delegation level sooner than later.
Right. Of course, Vishnu, we also have Rishabh with us. And Rishabh, many sleepless nights when it came to the exporters. And though Prime Minister Modi said that he's not going to, back down when it comes to the farmers, and he's going to have their back, but also the backs as far as having the back of the exporters is concerned. Take us through, what are the processes and what kind of initiatives was the Prime Minister taking in order to, ease the situation when it came to the exporters? What kind of amends was the Prime Minister making in this time?
Right. So an export promotion mission had been in the works. It was already announced in the budget this year, long before there were any tensions around tariffs. So there were already measures to boost exports that were being worked out by the union government. What we also know now is that this exporter package will be worth roughly around 2,250 crore rupees. And it will have a lot of products and initiatives available for exporters to access newer geography and to also get some sort of a fiscal benefit in terms of interest subvention. Those will be the two main components of that export promotion mission. But more importantly, what we've seen and what I've learned from sources is the fact that both sides remain very hopeful that the first tranche of the bilateral trade agreement could be done by the fall deadline that was earlier envisioned. So by October latest is when we can expect the first tranche to be done. What we're also seeing is that India will continue to stick to its red lines on agriculture and dairy. India will continue to protect the benefits of its MSMEs, fishermen, livestock holders, as well as farmers. Those are the four sections of society that really need protection in case large concessions are made in any sort of a trade deal. So the Prime Minister has come out and said that they will be looking to conclude these talks at the earliest. That is something that is also very important. So we could see a lot of action happening within the next 20 days in terms of either the Indian side going out to the US for the 6th round of in-person negotiations, or a US team of trade negotiators coming to New Delhi, which was originally the plan in August when secondary sanctions were imposed on India.
Right. Rishabh, we also have Akhilesh with us. Akhilesh, take us through the reaction of Prime Minister Modi to, Donald Trump saying that we are natural partners and, that there could be that meeting that's coming up real soon and that, we are going to be back on that negotiating table. How is Prime Minister Modi reacting to all of this?
Well, PM Modi welcoming the gestures by President Trump. We have seen that first he responded when Trump said that Modi is a great leader, is a great friend, and he hopes that India remains a good friend of the US. And now, when President Trump saying that he'll be talking to Prime Minister Modi in the coming days. So PM Modi immediately responding to him on X, saying that he hopes that India and the US will be finalizing the trade deal soon. So this is a very positive development. In the meanwhile, we have seen that Prime Minister Modi emphasizing on Make in India and also Swadeshi. In fact, on Monday, while talking to the NDA MPs in Parliament about the vice presidential election, he spoke in length about the Swadeshi and he urged all the MPs to start Swadeshi Melas from Navratri till Diwali and asked them to organize them in every district. So this is the emphasis of his government, and he knows very well that India, being a largest market of 140 crore people, other powers cannot ignore it simply. And India is growing with a rate of 7%, which is the highest in the world. So India is cannot be ignored. But India, in the meanwhile, has highlighted the double standard of the US in terms of imposing punitive sanction of 25% on India for purchasing oil from Russia. India says that the US should also talk about China, which is the largest oil purchaser from Russia, and why it's not imposing sanctions on China. So the double standard of the US was exposed by India. India stood firm in light of all these sanctions of the 50%. In fact, the exporters of India, I've spoken to some of them from the garment exporters. They were saying that the consumers in US they will equally suffer because the shelves in the US big stores were empty. India is a major supplier of the ready-made clothes in the US, and the prices were going up in US. So it is both way. It hurts. So it is better now. The better senses prevailed, and now there's a talk that the negotiations will resume soon.